Me and my wife have a 5-year-old son. Our group of friends is mostly couples with kids as we are nearing our 40s, and so a lot of our meetings with friends now include meeting up as entire families, kids included. This can sometimes mean a lot of adults and a lot of kids. One person in this group, Emma, fake name, used to be my roommate in college. She was married and has her own kids, and we hang out with her and her husband sometimes in a group setting, but rarely on our own. Emma also tends to run late, often. This is all relevant to the story. As our son is an only child, we sometimes worry that he wouldn't really learn to share or get along with other kids. To prevent this, and while I love spending time with him, I would sometimes preemptively nudge him to engage with other kids when we are in public playgrounds or at the beach or the pool. To that end, when I buy him a water pistol or an RC car or the like, I'd often just buy 2 or 3. I'd get to the playground and play with him, and when another kid would show interest in the toys, I'd just go, "Oh, you want to play with us?" and hand him the remote or the pistol or the whatever, thus getting the kids to play. This works great quite often, and I have a generally good relationship with the parents at our neighborhood. This is also relevant. One day, like a year back, me and my wife were planning on taking our kid to the pool. I pack my large bag of pool toys. Emma texts me, her husband is away that day and she's looking for something to do with the kids. I talk to my wife and tell Emma we're going to our local pool and she's welcome to join us, but we're planning on heading there early, so she can just join us whenever. We arrive at the pool pretty early and get a really good spot poolside, right by the shallows. I grab some water pistols and me and my kids start playing world domination. I am trying to take over the world and can only be stopped through the power of water pistols. It's a whole thing. Kid loves it. Soon another kid is there. It's a kid from my son's kindergarten class. He's there with his mom. He is, of course, welcome to join us. We know the family. The mom and my wife are pretty friendly and our kids play together often. So my wife says she wants to go for a swim, and the kid's mom says she wants to join her, and asks me if I'm okay watching the kids. I say sure, since by this point the kids are blasting each other with water pistols and I'm just chillin' poolside, just occasionally having to call out, "Oh no, my plans for world domination, ruined." Because sometimes that's just what parenting is. Then Emma and her kids show up. She is really happy to see me, and I give out toys to her kids. All is going well. Then my son's friend runs up and asks for some other toy and I go sure thing and hand it to him. Emma goes, "Oh my god. So cute. He looks just like you." I laugh and say okay cool, but this isn't my kid. Now, in her defense, the kid does look kinda like me, making this kinda hilarious. When my wife and the kid's mom come back, I tell them this story. They also find it hilarious. We all have a friendly chuckle but think little of it. Fast forward to a few months ago. I haven't seen Emma in a while. We are at a friends group gathering, and it was a good time all around. When we're about to call it a day, me and Emma are at the entrance. She's grabbing her stuff and I'm on my second trip from the car. Kids' toys, kids' clothes, dirty dishes, Tupperware with leftovers I want, etc. And I call out to Emma's husband, "Hey, can you call my wife and kid over? Just make sure it's actually my kid and not some random kid who kinda looks like me." I think it's a hilarious callback. He seems confused and kinda angry. He asks what the hell I'm talking about. Why would he call a random kid? I'm also confused, so I tell him the Pooh story. He doesn't laugh. Emma doesn't laugh either. The entire thing now feels kinda awkward. I awkwardly say goodbye, go grab my wife and kid myself, and we leave. Later that day I text Emma to ask if everything is alright. I get no reply. I text again a few days later. No reply. I get the distinct sense I fucked up, but also if she doesn't want to talk to me, I'm not gonna force the issue. I leave well enough alone. At worst I thought she was mad at a joke I made, which was apparently in poor taste. Boy howdy did I underestimate the fallout of this joke. A few days ago I arrive at a friend's place and she's there. This is an engagement party, so no kids. I wasn't supposed to come but decided to last minute, and my wife was at home with our kid. Emma sees me and is livid. She wasn't expecting to. She only came because she thought I wouldn't be here. She does, however, take the opportunity to tear me a new one though. She calls me out in front of everyone. Because of my joke, originally said with air quotes, her husband was furious. From what she said and what I gathered from mutual friends afterwards, she previously commented on someone else's kid looking like someone who wasn't his father. Except that whole thing led to family drama in Emma's husband's family, because in that case that dude was cheating and that was his kid, and a whole bunch of people were really hurt in the aftermath. Emma's husband was furious because he apparently thought she would know better than to comment on kids looking like people again. This sent them down a spiral, especially because the husband apparently thought she told me that other family story, and that I was mocking him for his family drama, and he thought the story I told was just covering for her. When I realized I fucked up, this was not the case. I had no idea that whole thing happened. Still, he didn't believe Emma when she told him. So they are now separated. She calls me an asshole and says I ruined her marriage. I am not a confrontational person. I apologize profusely. I say I didn't know, and if she didn't want me telling the story she should have said something. She tells me I'm making excuses. This is now a scene. I apologize profusely again and leave quickly after telling the couple a quick congratulations. I am later told this was anything anyone could talk about at the party, and now the engaged couple are mad at me too. Emma is even more mad because now everyone knows her drama. I am unfriended and unfollowed on everything. Some friends think I couldn't have known better and the joke was pretty benign. Other friends say it was in really poor taste to throw her under the bus and I am totally the asshole. Emma's best friend, who I also know from college, thinks I did know about the thing with her husband, and now I'm just covering my own ass to get away with being cruel. It has been a few days and some of my friends will no longer talk to me. Others think she is wrong to blame me and that marriage was doomed anyway. Still, I feel really guilty about making the joke, and I obviously wouldn't have made it had I known the trouble it would cause. I like Emma, and I didn't want to hurt her. I also liked her husband. I'd like to say that maybe he was wrong to let the marriage implode like that because of a stupid joke, but at the same time I don't exactly know his family drama and their history, nor the specifics of his relationship with Emma, so I can't really say he's wrong or overreacting. The entire thing just kinda sucks. My wife sorta got my back though. She thinks the joke was hilarious, and actually thinks me breaking up their marriage makes it even funnier, because WTF. She also loves crazy Reddit stories, so she sent me to post this. So at least I got that going for me, which is nice. So, Ida? Update 1. I thought I was regular person living a normal life. Turns out I am Chaz, a side character on the worst Gossip Girl episode ever written. So after posting yes, today, reading replies and thinking it over, I decided to reach out to Emma one final time. Some of you thought I shouldn't and that these were, in fact, not my monkeys. Others made me realize that Emma was probably in a shitty situation with her husband and his family and was actively being gaslit. Now, of note here, while as I mentioned we're not as close as we used to be very close. She helped me pick out a spot and let me borrow her car for my first date with who later became my wife. She was a significant part of my support system during some very rough times in my life. Despite everything, I still felt like I cared about her and wanted to work things out. This is no longer the case. See, from my perspective, I thought we were good friends, then when she met her husband we naturally drifted apart, and then this thing happened out of nowhere. This was not what it looked like from her perspective. How do I know? Well, buckle up because this is absolutely unhinged. So, last night, before going to bed, I text her a long thoughtful message. I explain that I do apologize for the part I played in ruining her marriage, and I understand she is going through a tough time. I understand if she wants nothing more to do with me, but if and when she feels she wants to talk it out, she is welcome to reach out, and I leave the ball in her court. I show this to my wife and she is practically giddy. She tells me there is no way this shit doesn't blow up in my face and I should have just cut my losses, like many of y'all said. Emma shows up at my house at around 7 a.m. unannounced. I ask WTF. She says she really needs to talk to me. I call my wife to the door and explain this. She sends me off with this woman because she understands this shit can only go poorly and apparently she is here for it and it's my own fault at this point. So as I said, from my perspective we were friends, we drifted apart. From her perspective, for the last 15 years she has been playing some weird game of 4D chess. Or 2 different games of 4D chess? Apparently she had feelings for me back in college, and she was trying to nice girl her way into a relationship with me. By being there for me when my dad died, and when I was struggling with being single. She always gave everything because she just assumed I would, at some point, come around. You'd think that me getting married or her getting married would change that, and it did, just badly. Apparently her husband knew about her feelings, which is why he always kept me at a distance. We never drifted apart, he explicitly asked her not to meet with me anymore outside of large social gatherings. That day at the pool? Yeah, that was her sticking it to him, because he was away cheating on her or something, and he didn't like her hanging around me scantily clad. It wasn't just that he was upset at the joke, he was upset because apparently I was having an affair with his wife and rubbing it in his face. Makes no sense? I know. It gets worse. That thing at the wedding? Well, at least she didn't plan that. I told our friends getting engaged that I wasn't coming. She asked and verified this. She wasn't expecting to see me and they told her I wouldn't be there, but once I showed up, she decided to exploit it. She intended to have a huge scene with me, so that she could tell her estranged husband and friends that I ambushed her because she broke off our affair. Our affair? Apparently we had an affair. Oh, what affair is that? You ask. I did too. Apparently the story some people got was that she and I were having an affair, and it ended and I was stalking her. Her husband left her because he found out. So people more inclined to believe her just thought that was what happened and wanted nothing to do with me anymore. So why did her husband actually leave? Well, some of you called it. According to her, he was cheating on her a bunch and overall not a nice person. She never actually cheated on him, but you said me to pretend that she did without my knowledge. So after the joke at the gathering, which may have indeed been in poor taste, they had a huge fight and he left the house. As for the thing with his family, from what I gather it was some dude sleeping with his cousin's wife or some such shit. So anyway, she tells me all this insanity, and tops it off with that my message really moved her and we can still be friends. The reason she rushed to show up at 7 a.m.? My message made her realize I am actually the only one who really cares about her and everyone else in her life is fake and don't really care. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but now this sounds like some really manipulative shit to me, and now I'm thinking back to a lot of our previous interactions, and a lot of them also seem like that to me now. I am not a confrontational person. I was willing to accept that I fucked up. Maybe some of you were right, and the joke was in poor taste, and I'm a huge asshole for making it because I thought that if he knew the story he would get the call back, and if he didn't I'd tell him a funny story about his wife. I accept all that criticism. But this? Fuck no. I was done. I tell her I am done with her shit. She can get back to her husband, leave her husband, keep any friends she wants, because I am fucking done. I can forgive a lot, but she had been basically not communicating with me for over 15 years. I was telling her everything about my life and my feelings, and I was absolutely appalled by just how much of a one-way street it turned out to be. I feel like I didn't ever really know her. Maybe I played a role in that too. Maybe I was self-centered or selfish and didn't consider her emotions or her signs. I don't know. And you know what? At this point I don't think it matters. She lied to me so much. She lied to so many people so much. I just don't care anymore. I don't think there's anything left to this friendship to fix. And the worst part? I just gave you T's huge update, and I genuinely don't know how much of it is true. Maybe she was completely honest with me. Maybe she lied about everything and we're still playing 4D chess. Who knows? I certainly don't. And that, more than anything, is why this friendship is over, because even if I could forgive everything, I can never really trust her. So that's that. There will probably not be any more updates because this was meant to be a lighthearted post and it turned out into a total clusterfuck and I'm just so tired and so sad. I'm sorry if this wasn't as readable or as coherent as my previous post. This just happened and I am just exhausted. My wife has been very supportive, though I assume at some point I'm due some well-earned I told you so's. She knows there wasn't an affair and certainly no stalking, and most of my friends probably know that too. I may try reaching out to some others because well, I don't know, maybe they were told even worse things about me? But I am just done with this. And now I'm going to spend what's left of this weekend with my family and try to put this shit behind me. Now on to second story. Discovered my fiancé fathered my brother during a fling with my mom. Now I've cut them both out of my life. My fiancé, 25 male, and myself, 24F, have been together since we were 17-18 years old. Honestly, he was always kind, handsome, funny, and everyone used to say I was so lucky to have the whole package. I felt so lucky too. He always treated me with love and respect, so this makes everything just so shocking for me. I have always had a good relationship with my mom. It has always been her and I against the world. My dad died in an accident when I was little. We always joke we are the real life Rory and Lorelai from Gilmore Girls. My mom dated guys on and off and they were usually cool but nothing really past the early stages. Around 4 years ago my mom told me she was pregnant, which was a huge surprise. My mom was around 42 years old and although she was sort of dating someone recently, didn't meet the guy but knew she went on dates, it still was a big shock. She never thought she could be pregnant at her age. She had me when she was super young, an upsie, and I can tell she was stressed and worried. I decided to support her, since she has always supported me, and tried to reassure her. She then had my brother, who is now 3 years old. I have a close relationship with my brother. I have helped taken care of him since he was born and I just love the little guy. My fiancé was also always helpful with my brother. We would take him out for ice cream, playground, pool time during summer, etc., but nothing was weird. He was just my then BF spending time with my brother, and I now to the how I found out. My fiancé and I lived together since we finished college. My finis was not at home since he was hanging out with friends, but I was home BC. I didn't feel like going out and just wanted to chill on my sofa. At some point during being watching a series on Netflix, my laptop died and I was too lazy to go get my charger, so I just took my fiancé's iPad. I know the password but honestly never used it before. The iPad logged in and I got a bunch of messages pinging. I guess he hasn't used it in a while too? Anyways, this got my attention and I went to check it out, and OFC I found everything. My mom's number wasn't under her name, but I recognized the number and verified it with my phone. She was telling him she felt guilty and that I should know. He said he also felt guilty but couldn't lose me, and they /backed it up. She said that it was unfair for my brother to never not know his dad, and that if he could live having his son around not behaving like a dad but a brother-in-law. I broke down. What the actual F? There weren't a lot of older messages, just some photos stored of my brother as a newborn, my mom pregnant, and more photos of my brother growing up in an album. I couldn't anymore. I cried for what it seemed ages, and I wait for my BF to come back home. I wish I was one of those women that can pretend and get things together before confronting the cheater, but I can't. He came back later that night, around 23:30, and I just gave him the iPad with the conversation opened and saw his face completely go pale. I asked for an explanation. When? How? Why? And he didn't want to at first, but knew he had to. Apparently a few years back while I was traveling with some friends, girls trip, my fiancé and mom had dinner together. This isn't strange since he has been part of the family for so long. Sometimes mom and fiancé would eat together at our place even if I was busy with sports or out. I did the same with his parents. Somehow, unclear how since he couldn't explain it well, one thing led to another and they ended up sleeping together. They felt guilty but apparently not guilty enough. They slept together 2-3 more times, using the excuse of meeting up to discuss how to tell me. Apparently when my mom got pregnant they stopped sleeping together and decided to not tell me, since my fiancé loved me and couldn't lose me and my mom didn't want to lose her daughter. So here we are now, with two of the most disgusting humans. I obviously broke the engagement, told my mom to never talk to me again and move in with a friend. I feel bad for my brother since I really love him, but I can't be around him now, I just can't. I feel like it would remind me of all those times we talked about having kids. I would be his baby mama, only baby mama. We talked about this future since we were 17 years old, so I want to puke every time I think how I was actually taking care of his child with someone else, while still having those dreams. I want to puke. Update 1. As I was afraid I was indeed confronted near my office this week. I knew this was coming but thought maybe I had more time. My ex was the person to come find me. Yesterday, when, after finishing work and walking to where my car was parked, my ex was sort of lingering waiting around. I thought about running, not gonna lie, but I guess in the moment I felt strong enough to get over with it, instead of having that hanging above my head waiting to be approached again. He asked if we could talk and I said yes, but I didn't feel like having that conversation over coffee like we were old friends. It felt ridiculous, so I told him to just talk right there. We were in the streets but somehow it wasn't crowded, but also not completely lonely, felt right. He basically said sorry 100 times, and that I deserved better. I agreed. He said he did love me and that he still does, but he would understand why I wouldn't want anything to do with him. He said that if I did in fact consider giving him a chance that he would go to therapy, alone or together or both, and that he would work hard to win my trust back. I told him it wasn't possible, there was too much damage. This sounds calm when I type it, but in the moment things came out more with louder tone and harsher words. Anyways, he did say that he is in the or will be, it was a bit of a blur, process of getting custody, partly, from my brother, and that he in fact does want to be a dad to him. He said he does not want to be together with my mom, that it was just a stupid mistake, sure. BC 4 to 5 times mistake is just a random thing. He couldn't explain why he did it in the first place. I think he doesn't even know himself. I asked if he cheated with someone else before. He said no, not sure if to believe it, but he sounded honest. I asked why he didn't come clean, and he said that after he did the deed he always felt panicked and it hits him that he could lose me and he just didn't want to. I told him it was meant to be found out, that what was his plan? To have my brother around and ignore their relationship forever? He said he didn't think far enough and that he was basically going with the idea one day at the time type of survival. I asked him if he felt that my mom seduced him. He said it was mutual, which made me want to puke again. I asked if he has any contact with my mom since I found out. He said yes, but mostly about my brother, didn't elaborate more and I didn't press for more info on that. He said he told his parents the day before or the day before that not sure, Tuesday? About everything. The parents were not happy but they are glad to start building now a relationship with my brother, their grandkid. Honestly, all of this felt like a punch in my stomach, I don't know why. The parents wanted to contact me but he told them to wait till he approached me first, hence why he was here. I said if he started or thought about the custody before I found out and he said no, but when I found out was like the push he needed. Great, seems I helped him get his shit together, and this past week he was arranging all of that mess, that's why he hasn't tried to see me before. He sounded and looked defeated, but the whole thing made me besides sad, angry. I was mainly depressed before but now I'm furious. I feel like he is still in an okay place and he isn't paying for his actions, beyond me leaving him. He will have my brother, his parents and others and move on with his life. While I lost everything. I hate him. We parted ways not in a happy note, and I told him to never get near me again. I was done. He asked me to see my brother still, that I was important to him and tried to guilt trip me and it worked, but I still think I can't. I don't know much about my mom and really hope she doesn't come find me anytime soon. BC, I'm fuming right now and won't be able to handle it. I will be contacting my family and friends and finally doing the blasting today. I think it's about time, and after my talk with him, I got the extra push I needed. Update 2. A lot has happened. I did the blasting. And this is how it went down. I first posted on my family's FB group we share. This is from my mom's family side. I used Inspirati, on of what you all suggested in my last post and said something around the lines of, I want to communicate to you all that my wedding with X has been permanently cancelled, since I found out that my mom and my ex had in the last few years a sexual relationship which resulted in the birth of my little brother. I had no clue of any of this, and I found out about it last week. I won't have moving forward a relationship with, mom, and ex, for obvious reasons. I would appreciate your understanding and I felt it was only fair to let you know of the situation. Since I value transparency and honestly above all. I also included a screenshot of my mother message, what I said to her once I found out, and a message she managed to write back before I blocked her. Didn't open the message till before the blasting. I didn't want to read her and be persuaded. It exploded. I had family reaching out via text and calling the whole day after the blasting. I would say most were very supportive and I could tell they were just shocked. There were a few neutral and some suspicious that it wasn't the whole story and maybe I misunderstood. My grandparents were in the maybe you misunderstood category, which it wasn't surprising since my mom is super close to my grandparents and like I said before, my mom was always a good mom. So no red flags. I will be moving with a cousin that is more like a sister to me. I haven't reached out to her previously BC I knew once she knows everyone would, that's why I went to my friend's place. My cousin is devastated on my behalf and offered I live with her and her 2 kids until I can get my feet on the ground. I accepted and will be moving next week. I'm a bit afraid this will give my mom an easier access to me, but I can't stay at my friend's place forever. I then proceeded quickly to post a similar message for we share most of our friends since high school and local university, friends on Instagram. I created a close friends story and tagged most of them too. This went sort of viral in our friend group. Actually one of my friends sent me my Reddit post and asked if this was me, I confirmed. They were also shocked and speechless. They never thought my ex would even remotely do anything like this. They said he was crazy about you. Oh well. Apparently he went overboard on the crazy part. The group of friends is divided ATM, some are completely on my side and some are thinking it isn't the whole truth. I told everyone that reached out that if they don't believe me to ask their friend if he is asking for custody of my little brother. That kinda shut them up for now. My ex deleted his social media apparently. Also my ex's parents called me like I guess they would. They were kind to me and were very sorry about everything. I got the feeling they are also overwhelmed and very disappointed. However, it was clear they will be supporting their son. They are very upset at my mother, and don't want anything to do with her, but not sure how that will work with my little brother and everything else. They tried to give me info about the custody and what is my ex up to now, but I shut that down quickly and told them I don't want any info, I want to move on. I also asked them to not reach out in the near future, that I needed distance, especially if they will be supporting my ex, he is living with his parents ATM. Also my ex and my mother after the blast were going nuts trying to reach out to me. They tried calling my friend, who she blocked them, and reaching out from different numbers. I had to put my phone on silence and ignore everyone. However my mother sent me a long text, from another number, and that was a weird text. She said that I was being cruel and that she didn't think she raised me that way. She said she thought we had a better relationship than me blasting out laundry like that without talking to her first. That I didn't have the whole picture. She did mention something that confused me. She said in her long-ass text, that the reason she slept with my ex, is because he reminded him of my dad. That it was grief. That she didn't mean to use him to heal her pain, but she wasn't strong enough. I don't even know what that means. Like did she think that my ex looks physically like my dad? Or personality? Or what? I have seen photos of my dad, and well, yay my ex isn't super different but also not super alike. I mean they share brown/dirty blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin. But that's not so uncommon, I don't see what else? I don't know. That threw me for a loop and honestly makes me want to confront my mom just to know what the hell? From all the things she could say I was not expecting that. I'm holding on better, I don't cry every hour or want to murder them. But, I'm still sad and upset and it just feels like it isn't my life, that is a big joke or a bad dream and I will wake up to my normal life. I also need to really start planning my future and start applying for jobs in other cities, or maybe check the possibilities abroad more seriously. I might ask for 2 to 3 days off work to really get my thought together and do some research. I'm terrified TBH. I feel frozen, but I know I need to start moving.